Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be doing a analysis of Primal Beast. This is a hero that's been out for a hot minute now, and its win rate is actually extremely good, at least on Dota 2 Pro Tracker. This hero is currently one of the highest at 56%. I think this hero is a pretty broken laner. It has some of the best wave shove of the game. You could even ult the creep waves. It has some of the highest solo kill potential in all of Dota, and all in all, it just catches people off guard. So if you're looking for an X-Factor hero you could pick in the offlane, mid lane, or even safe lane, actually, I'm pretty confident in saying you can pick this hero in any role, and it's legitimately good. But yeah, nonetheless, let's get into it, and I'll see you guys there. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, so we're going to be watching EG Nightfall today, the offlaner for EG. I think he got 6th place at last TI. We're going to be watching him play Primal Beast. So the most common build that you're going to see is a Bracer start. Yes, you usually would buy Tango's, but he lost gold in the drafting phase, so Tango's Bracer is going to be the start in most lanes. Now, in some situations, you're going to see pros take Trample at level 1 and clear the wave. This is basically if you think the lane is completely unplayable for one reason or another, but in this lane, he'll be absolutely fine, especially against something like a melee support, an Ogre Magi, an Omni Knight, anything of the sort, even if it's a low-range hero like Avenge. If they have to get close to hit you, you will bully them. And as you can see in this clip here, Nightfall is actually specifically walking out of position. This is out of position, guys. You know, when you're playing Dota, you don't want to walk through the wave. But in this case here, he doesn't really care that, you know, he's going to have to go out of position to secure the range creep. Because if the enemy hits him and gives him Uproar stacks, which is the ability you guys should take at level 1, he's going to have the opportunity to decimate them. If you don't understand what Uproar does, essentially you get up to 5 stacks, and for each stack, when you activate the ability, it gives you bonus damage and bonus armor. On top of that, if you have 5 stacks, it slows by 50% for 3 seconds, one of the craziest slows in the game. If you have 2 stacks, it will slow for 20%. It's 10% per stack. So essentially, the more stacks you have, the more crazy this hero is. On top of that, you generally want to use this E when you only have a couple of stacks to secure denies. You don't need to wait till you get 5 stacks to try to get a kill. While that is a viable strategy against some lanes, especially if your position 4 is like some hero with a slow, maybe a hoodwink, you can go for a kill at level 1, but in general I recommend using it for the early CS. Now moving on into the lane, unfortunately we're not going to see a ridiculous amount of kills on a Void, but essentially the hero is very simple. Once you hit level 3, you force the issue. It's very easy to understand. As long as you have 2 stacks, you get a bonus 50 damage, 50 damage from your E. With 2 stacks, let alone 5, which is obviously going to give you 125 damage, this hero is insane. So once you hit level 3, especially if you hit it first, and you have the 2 points in Uproar, which is the build you should always go, you're going to just clap. So yeah, just hit. And that's the thing about this double Bracer build as well. With 2 points in Uproar, you get a bonus base 15 damage, like literally flat, with no stacks. The ability just gives you damage. So it's 15, then you have 2 Bracers, which give you 8 damage each, so you're hitting for an extra, 31 damage? That's maybe some NA math. But the point is he's hitting for 100 right now, 2 minutes in, and if they try to trade back, they're going to give you stacks of Uproar, which are going to enable you to get a kill after you've harassed them. I mean, like, it's crazy, right? This Void has to time walk away, and Void is a hero that usually wins trades, right? Void is a hero that is difficult to trade into due to Bash and time walk. It's not the case for Primal Beast, so please, force the issue and be very open with your E. Just use it, right? You get that extra 100, 200 damage on the enemy. You don't have to kill them with it. That's the biggest mistake you can make on this hero. Also, one thing to note about this hero is your W is based off your base damage. It does damage essentially 40% of what you currently hit for. So you want to pop the Uproar before or during the trample. Just keep that in mind. It's incredibly important when you're going for a kill. You should essentially always pop these abilities together. It's how the hero synergizes. All right, now in terms of early skill build and item build, he opts to skip ulti this game, which I actually can respect. Your hero has a lot of mana problems. However, I will say that I personally prefer not going double Bracer. I actually prefer 1 Bracer and a Soul Ring. Your hero desperately needs the mana, and I think buying basically buying all these stats. While it is good on this hero because you benefit from the strength and you're an early game brawler, I just think it's a bit too much of an investment. What I highly recommend is I really like the stick, I like the range drops, but I also really think windlace is crucial on this hero. Your hero is all about positioning, all about closing the gap and staying on top of targets, which is obviously, you know, what you need movement speed for. So personally, I disagree with his decision on the double bracer. A lot of people are doing double bracer, so, you know, it's popular, it's not bad, I just don't think it's the best. And then, yeah, so I like soaring into windlace into BKB. He's still going to BKB. And on top of that, in terms of skill build, I like what he's doing, maxing trample. You might be like, oh, why not max uproar? It scales well. It does scale well. The problem is you really want to lower the cooldown on trample so you can use it for creep camps and the waves. Essentially, like what often will happen with your games is like, assuming you dominate the lane, which unfortunately he didn't. I mean, he did okay. We'll look at net worth here. You know, he's doing all right. But assuming you dominate the lane, let's say you're against something like, you know, a TB or a Wraith King, which you can like easily crush, then you're going to be able to pop off. Even against a hero like Void, I actually think he misplayed this lane a little bit. I didn't want to show off the misplays because I didn't feel like it was useful. But essentially, what you can do is if you build up 5 stacks, just force the enemy to use their defensive abilities and chase them with your Q. Now, in terms of game execution, I like how Nightfall plays the game. He's going to put the major priority of his game, farming top, scaling, and getting this tower. Your hero is very item and level reliant. You cannot play it like something like Mars, even though Mars is, you know, does well with items and levels too. You can't play it like something like a Mars where, you know, you just instantly set up once you hit level 6. Can your hero do that? Yeah, you can charge in and then ulti. It's not bad, right? This is better than ganking with something like a Necro. However, I do want you guys to keep in mind that when you scale, when you hit this BKB, your hero like 5 times in effectiveness. Not even like 2 times or 3 times. It like 5x's in power because you can actually get off your trample. However, after he pushes in the top wave here, he sees a dive happening, right? This is the situations where you absolutely want to TP. Like 100% you want to TP. So he pops his clarity before TPing to make sure he has mana. This is personally why I think he should have a soul ring because he's basically not going to have enough mana for his spells or it's going to be close. Fight breaks out, he's going to go onto the Kunkka, charges through, and you want to pop the trample while queuing. He actually did it a little bit late there, so it's just something to keep in mind. It was slightly late on his part. Basically, how trample works is the more you move, the more damage it does, right? So when you stomp around, it does damage. It works with your Q. Your Q makes you run at 1200 movement speed. Your W really benefits from that. So you should always pop them together. It's an insane amount of damage, and if you miss out on this damage advantage, you're actually going to be like really lacking in team fights. It's quite impressive how much this does. So as he charges through, should have had the trample going right here to make sure that it would hit the Void and the Ogre a little bit. So as I said, a bit of a mistake. Does hit it on the techies. You can see it does a pretty significant amount of damage onto the techies. Easily takes out crit and goes on from there. Now in terms of gameplay, there's one thing that I feel very strongly on that I think pros do wrong. Is what they do is they'll trample creep waves. I actually think that this is the wrong decision in like the majority of situations. And the reason why I say that is if you trample the creep wave, you basically can't farm the neutral camps because your ulti is your other farming ability. It just is. Like I've actually seen certain pros max the Q to farm with it. I think it's like an okay option because you can like charge through multiple camps. It's all right. But basically my opinion is that when you're splitting the map, like look at his positioning here, okay? He's like not even close to his team, right? He's not close to his Void Spirit. He's not close to anybody. So in these situations where like, okay, he doesn't even have TP, right? Like he is full farm mode. He's not close to his team with no TP. You know you're farming, okay? In these situations, use your ult on the wave. Why? Because the wave has a very set amount of HP, right? It's just a bunch of creeps with very similar amounts of HP. Your ulti is nearly going to one-shot it. I believe actually with level 2 ulti, you do one-shot creep wave. So once you hit level 12, your ulti actually will instantly clear the wave. I think with level 1 ulti, I think it barely leaves the melee creeps alive. So like, you can chip them down and then ulti, right? Like prep the creeps, essentially lower the melee creeps HP and then ulti. And you want to ulti the range creep when you do that because you want to make sure you pound something into the ground 3 times. So yeah, I don't like when they trample like this. I think it's a mistake because then it's like you walk up to this camp. It's like, okay, do I, can I farm them? Not really. Do I go mid? Not really. It's like, do I really want to ulti a neutral camp that like isn't really going to die to it? Like, I guess you could ulti this camp. But the thing is your ulti is also a longer cooldown. So if you get the ulti off cooldown first, the timings will line up, right? Because if you ulti the wave here, by the time you get to here, like 8-10 seconds have passed, which means by the time, you then use trample, your ulti is going to be back up at around the same time. And you're going to be able to show up to a fight with both spells. So hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, it's just the way to be most efficient on this hero, in my opinion. And I've seen even most pros doing it wrong. So you guys can be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve on this hero. All right, so he spent a little bit of time farming BKB, which like I love. I think players just don't emphasize farming on offlane. Just farm. Like, if you are playing a hero like Primal Beast that, like, scales, you know, you could play this hero as a safe laner, right? Just farm the item. So he goes in for the Void here. Especially when you have BKB, you want to put a high priority on just, like, getting on top of some Mega Core, whether or not it's a Quap or a Puck or something like that. Honestly, you're best off going on heroes like Lina, though, who can't disengage, because in that case, you can actually solo kill them, right? Your BKB timing against heroes like TA and Lina can actually get you solo kills because they generally cannot disengage from the BKB, and often in the early game, they're not strong enough to kill you, especially when your E gives you a bonus like 20 armor after 5 stacks. So he actually goes for Soul Ring after, that's funny. Either way, the main thing I want you guys to see is that, yeah, once you hit this BKB, make plays with your team. Look for smokes, don't keep splitting the map, right? It's good to split the map beforehand, especially if you committed your TP, then split the map. But other than that, yeah, like just look what he's doing here. Runs in, charges in, lifts up the Night Stalker, has his BKB going, and then looks to cut another creep wave. Your hero is extremely good at farming waves and camps, so just always be looking to farm. Unfortunately, he gets ganked here, but wow, look how tanky he is. Man, it's actually crazy how tanky this hero is. All right, in terms of item build, you have 2 major options. If the enemy team has very mobile heroes you need to get on top of, then I highly recommend going Blink. The reason why is your Q is a little bit unreliable, especially against heroes like Quap, like Puck, even against like Void this game. I definitely think you could have argued for him to go Blink to try to get on top of this Void and potentially even chain stun him. However, Void is a BKB buyer, which makes it not as good. Either way, the big thing I want you guys to think about is, yeah, if you want to frontline, if you want to tank the spells for your team, which he absolutely can do this game, especially against the enemy team comp, which I would say kind of lacks damage here. Essentially, after the Chrono, they have a very hard time killing people, in my opinion. They have a very like set amount of damage. It's a lot of nukes. So if you can live through those nukes as the frontliner, you're going to be able to turn the fight. You're going to be able to get off all of your spells, your BKB, and you're going to be able to carry the fight. If you're against something like a TB or you know, a Luna who's just going to kill you from full anyway, like depending on how farm they are, then I prefer Blink. Right. Also, if your team just does a lot of damage, then you don't really need to, like, you can just stun people and they're gonna die. So yeah, either way, he goes for the Sanch here. I like Sanch on this hero. I personally have just played it quite a bit, and I feel like the Blink is extremely nice because what it allows you to do is save your Q for the disengage. What I mean by that is what's often gonna happen is you're gonna, let's say you blink on someone, right? You blink on Dubu here and you ulti him. He's gonna like Force Staff away, or like let's say you go in this Void, right? He's gonna hop away. Then he doesn't have BKB, right, at this point in the game. So let's say he hops away with no BKB. You then chase, right? So he hops away, but you've only Blunken. So then you Q, you chase him, and you finish him off. That happens a lot. It works against blinks because the Q range is so long, right? So you can even read the blink, right? If you see them blink, the blink coming, you can follow it up. So I've seen that happen a lot. I really think the blink after BKB is generally the best item, as it allows you to finish off kills and kite out, right? The problem about like queuing in is that if you miss the queue, it's very unlikely you're going to do anything. You're most likely going to get kited and likely waste your BKBs. So one important thing to note about Primal Beast is he doesn't do anything through BKBs. Like literally every single one of your spells is just like a nuke that doesn't go through BKBs. I didn't even know the Q is physical. That is weird. But either way, everything doesn't go through BKBs. So when someone BKBs, just try to ignore them. Essentially in these mid-game team fights, what I generally recommend is you just change your target priority up. Unless you can catch someone with your chain stun, right? Your Q into your ulti, or you know, a blink into ulti. If you can do that, okay, right? You can try to burst someone with BKB. But in general, let's say the fight like develops like this one where the Night Stalker pre-BKBs, just go for something like the techies, right? Kill the ogre, kill the techies, something like that. It's gonna be your best bet. And then when the BKBs run out, you can get off a huge stun and pulverize into the other targets, and that's your best bet. All right, next up we're gonna see a huge team fight from Nightfall here. Great execution. Also, he goes for the Kaya Sanj, easy to understand. All your spells are like magical damage, so you just do a ton of damage. Also, you have some mana problems, so really doubling down on the spell app. Has the Kaya Sanj and the Int Vambrace on, so he's going in. But either way, fight breaks out. He's going to queue in, goes for the Ogre, like we talked about when the BKBs come out. You can change up your target priority a little bit. Pops the W on the way through. Look at how much damage it does. Every single trample does 200-something damage now. This Kunkka loses almost half his HP just to the Onslaught plus trample. Same thing with the Ogre. That's impressive, right? I mean, imagine this guy doesn't have BKB because he's like a greedy 2k MMR player. Let's be real, guys. I'm talking about you. Then you just kill the Kunkka. Like, you just BKB. Kunkka dies. Straight up. He just dies. Pops his BKB. Basically kills the Ogre from full. Bit of a mistake. Probably could have finished him off earlier, so had to then commit his Splank in kind of a poor way. But either way, a beautiful fight execution. Look at this Kunkka, right? This Kunkka, if we watch the fight breakout, he starts his fight with half HP because it's this beautiful Onslaught into Trample combo. and then he's just gonna die, right, to like a couple of auto attacks. He like runs in, he's like, oh, I'm 700 HP. How did that happen? And then TA just like auto attacks him a couple times. You know, like there's no way that doesn't happen with this beautiful initiation. So you can see the impact of the Primal Beast. This hero is honestly nuts. Like a decent initiation onto a couple heroes with the QW, the fight's over. It's just over. That's how it goes. All right, let's get into a couple more team fights before this game ends. At this point, he's just unbelievably strong. Also, let's quickly talk about talent choices. 12% magic resist at 10. Personally, I like the mana regen. It depends on how you're playing. If your pub is very slow paced, then the mana regen's better because you're going to be farming more. He didn't go for Soul Ring, honestly. He really didn't buy any or do anything for mana, which is kind of crazy. He went for the magic resist this game, which, you know, it's reasonable as a frontliner. It's a good talent. Personally, I think most games the mana regen's better, though. At level 15, he also takes a weird talent. The enemy team doesn't do too much physical this game, at least direct physical damage, so I can respect the onslaught damage. On top of that, you can see in the last team fight, the extra 120 damage really puts this Kunkka and the Ogre, you know, into a very uncomfortable HP range. Once again, it depends on the game. If they're all physical, take the Uproar armor per stack. At level 20, I think this one is non-negotiable. As cool as having a Dispel is, I think the 30% trample attack multiplier is nuts. It's incredibly noticeable. It's nearly a double in the damage at this point in the game because the majority of the damage is going to come from the attack damage multiplier. And finally, level 25, I think most games, the pulverized damage duration is just better. It makes your ulti last for like 4.6 seconds. It's like a black hole stun, right? That does AoE, you know, damage. And I think it makes it do like 1,000 something damage. It's pretty crazy. So as tempting as Spell Lifesteal is, you can get away with it some games. If you're like the only guy who's, you know, if you have to survive all the spells and you're just dying every fight because you're getting like mega committed on, fine. But in general, I would go for the pulverized duration. It also lets you just solo kill supports unbelievably easily. Talking about solo killing supports, in this team fight here, he goes for the charge in, gets it off. Enemy kind of makes the mistake of giving up Uproar stacks. I'm not going to lie, against Primal Beast in team fights, if you can't burst him, don't go on him. Because if you give him Uproar stacks, you're going to see here, this poor Techies, man. He pops the Uproar, pops BKB. I like his confidence here just to go in. This Techies just... Techies just gets, you know, evaporated. He's just gone. And yeah, this fight is completely over. This is a done engagement. All right, we'll actually get to see the pulverized duration, which he did end up taking. Come into play here. Charges in with the Q. If you hit the Q, you stun them for 1.6 seconds with the Q, and then another 4 seconds with your ulti. So you end up stunning them for almost 6 seconds, or like basically exactly 6 seconds. And yeah, look at this. You think it's gonna end, and then he just keeps jamming your head into the floor. All right, that's gonna be the end of this game as the Kunkka tilts out. But all right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you're inspired to play this hero. It's personally one of my favorite heroes to play right now. It's such a dominant laner. It's honestly super enjoyable. It can scale, it can win team fights, it can win lane. It's honestly one of the most well-rounded heroes in the game right now. I firmly believe that. And so absolutely give this hero a try. It does require some mechanical skill. It has a lot of active abilities and they're a bit clunky. So don't give up. If you have a bad first game, please give this hero, you know, give it a chance. Play it a couple games, 3-4 games. But all right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below. And I'm out. Peace.